Yeah. You're good to go.
You're good to go? Are we live?
You're live?
Woohoo! Thank you so much, camera lady. Yeah, okay, so thank you everyone who is probably just sort of starting off getting themselves logged into this live video essentially, and I hope everyone's managed to kind of watch some of the brief videos earlier on through the course of the day. If anyone could just put in the comments perhaps where they are at the moment, what they've been up to today if they want to, and we'll just let a few people kind of get themselves, as I say, logged in and ready to watch. So before we kind of start and before we kind of get going, I would just like to maybe just show you, if I can, some of the landscape basically that we have around here. If you probably don't want to do that,
Cool.
but we're really lucky here to be able to have some amazing views, some amazing countryside. I hope some of you can see some of what we're seeing essentially. There's been lots and lots going on in the fields today all around about. Probably hear some tractors working in the background. So we're really lucky here in Aberdeenshire. So we're right up here in Aberdeenshire. I should say I am Rosa. I'm the food and farming dietitian. You probably missed that bit at the start. And we're up here right in the northeast of Aberdeenshire. We are really lucky. We've got some amazing beaches and things nearby. We're kind of near the coast, which is great. So we're right near Cullen and Sandend, which is really beautiful. How are we doing for time? Should we?
You've got 17 live at the minute.
Cool.
Yeah, a few folks saying the view is stunning.
We're very lucky. It's been a glorious day here in Aberdeenshire actually. I hope some of you have had some amazing sun because we have had the most fantastic day. I think probably I will just get started. There's lots to talk about. I could talk forever and ever about food and farming because I love it. So I will just get going and some of you can kind of keep logging on as you go along. So as I say, we're up in the northeast of Aberdeenshire. I'm the food and farming dietitian. And Aberdeenshire has this amazing slogan, a mountain to see, basically.
I don't know, a few folks saying we can't really hear you. I might have to come closer.
Okay. You want me to shout at you?
Yeah, maybe shout, yeah.
Is that any better? I hope so. Hope everyone can hear me okay now.
Well, Gran's watching, just to tell you.
It's a little bit windy. Okay, so we have this amazing slogan called Mountain to Sea, essentially, and we associate that with Aberdeenshire. And I think that's a really nice descriptive way to think of the landscape that we have here, and therefore the farming systems that we have here and that we can kind of operate here. So mountain to sea then, so up in the mountains, up in the hill ground essentially, we've got some farms which are better suited basically to grazing systems, and that's because they're hilly and so they're exposed to cold temperatures, for example, so crops can't necessarily grow very well. They might not have the depth of topsoil there that we have in lower levels, so again, crops can't kind of anchor themselves down. It might be really steep, so they can't get machinery up to cultivate. So hill farms are really well suited to grazing stock essentially, and they grow grass really well. And then as we come through and down towards the coast where we are here, the land kind of levels off a little bit and is much more fertile, and it sort of lends itself much better to farming more cereals. And so, for example, we've got malting barley, or fields of barley all around us here, and also there's a lot of professional farms which grow lots of vegetables. So we grow lots of potatoes. There's a field of seed potatoes just beside us. We grow neeps. For anyone who doesn't know what a neep is, that's a turnip. We have lots of carrots growing here. So the land is completely different down here compared to up in the hillier areas. Can everyone hear me okay now? Is that sort of...
Nobody's commented, so hopefully that is fine.
Okay, excellent. So today, the first thing I'm going to talk to you is about lentils. So we're growing lentils here in Aberdeenshire as part of a trial with the Agricultural College. I actually study my Masters there at the moment, and I really enjoy learning about agroecology and a sort of soil health essentially, environmental health, animal health, and how it all links through to human health. So as I say, the Agricultural College are doing some trials at the moment of lentils. So this is a lentil plant, and I don't know how well you can see that. So okay, it doesn't quite look like this in the field, but I just thought it'd be really interesting for people to see what it looks like. Usually it stands quite high off the ground, but this is the sort of the end of a lentil plant essentially. You can see the little pods and things here, if you can see that, I hope. So essentially what we do with the lentils is, you will probably recognise them more like this, if everyone can see those, okay? So lentils are a fantastic source of iron, and iron is really important for to keep us healthy essentially. It's really important for our immune systems, but it's also really important because it helps us make a protein which transports oxygen all around our body. And if we lack iron, what happens is we then feel tired, we lack in energy, we can be a bit irritable. So it's really important that we have a good source of iron in our diet, and lentils can provide that really, really well. The other thing we look at here is peas and beans as well. They're other good sources of these nutrients. So the lentils, what I do with them, a lot of people are scared of lentils, I think. They're not really sure what to do with them. So lentils, I use them as a main, the main component of a meal essentially. But I also use them in lots of other ways. So I use them to thicken soups, for example, and to thicken sauces, like with a casserole. I would use them also to kind of bulk out a meal. So for anyone who's had a meal in my house and say we've had a mince dish, you've definitely eaten lentils, whether you know it or not, but you definitely know now. So I use lentils to bulk out the meal essentially, whether it's vegetables or whether it's meat based. And it's a really cost effective thing to do. The other thing that's great about it is it boosts the fibre content of that meal, it boosts the vitamins, the mineral content of that meal, and as I say, it's very, very cost effective. The other great thing about lentils is essentially how they grow and how they benefit our soil. So lentils and peas and beans, which are all very similar, they all do something really clever. They fix nitrogen. So
somebody's just asked that actually.
Okay, perfect. So, so they fix nitrogen. So there's nitrogen in the air all around us at the moment, and we can't see it, but it's there. And what lentils and peas and beans can do is they can take that nitrogen from the air. I'm doing hand actions, I don't know if you can see them, it's just what I'm doing. They're taking nitrogen from the air and they fix it down in the soil in sort of different compounds basically. And then what that does is, as I say, lentils are quite often grown with another crop. They're grown with maybe wheat or oats, for example. So that crop can then use these compounds that contain nitrogen in the soil to then grow. They can use that as their nutrition to grow. So we don't have to add anything to the crops basically to make them productive. And that's really, really great in so many different terms really, because it means that we can crop a combination and get a multitude of crops coming from one space. And the end use of that crop is really important as well. So if you're growing wheat and lentils, for example, what you can do is we can use them. They can be perfectly used for humans to eat. And as I say, we get a good source of iron from lentils, but we can also use them to feed animals. And that's actually quite important when we think about getting protein as well into our animals and homegrown proteins. And that's actually maybe something we can pick up on a bit later on when I talk about the turkeys. So they're a really fascinating crop. The other thing that's great is having these two crops growing together like this is it increases we've all heard about soil health, but what does that kind of mean? Well, it means that there's going to be more life in the soil. It's going to be a healthier soil. So there's more worms, for example. There's more bacteria, there's more fungi. And I was speaking to a farmer recently who was showing me these pictures of a dung beetle that he'd found. He was so pleased. He was just showing me all these pictures of his dung beetle in his wheat and pea crop actually, and that was quite locally to us. And he was saying the dung beetle can bury down like a metre into the ground, and what that does effectively is it creates a little channel where oxygen can flow, where roots from plants can kind of grow into. Basically it allows the rainwater to kind of channel through and drain through it naturally, so it really improves the health of our soil. So you can see that lentils, growing them in combination with other crops, are fantastic for soil, for environmental health, environmental benefits, and as I say, they can be human feed, they can produce animal feed as well. There is a grower in Scotland, obviously growing lentils, and he supplies a company called Hodmedod's. I was speaking to the farmer just the other day, and he was telling me all about sort of what he was doing with them, and he's using a robotic weeder actually to weed the plants as well, and he was having a bit of a play with that, so it was really interesting to hear about what he was doing. So lentils, great source of iron and protein, fantastic for our soils. So next, and these are lupins actually, let me just show you that. I wasn't going to talk about them, but these are little lupins that lupin seeds that they also can be used as they're being trialled essentially as a type of feed. They're high protein, so that's really interesting. I had never seen those before. I've seen the plants, but not the seed. Okay, so next we're going to talk about the milk, I think. So this milk comes from half an hour away from me, I would say. There's an organic dairy there, and it's fantastic because they they sell direct to their customers. They're open 24/7, so it's very accessible for people, and you can kind of speak directly to the people making it. What's really interesting about that milk is that it's, the system that they use to rear their calves is really different. So they leave their calves with their cows much longer than you would sort of normally do in a dairy system, and that's got multiple benefits. So for the farmer, he has a really healthy calf, he has a really healthy cow that isn't stressed, and it's a bit like, I suppose, a human baby. They take the milk they need and then they wean them off sort of naturally at the point where they naturally would kind of wean off. So you get a much healthier calf and cow, and as a result of doing that, you get a really high quality, nutritious milk at the end of it. So it's really, really beneficial for our health. We know that, obviously, you're all going to tell me that you know that milk contains calcium, right? So we all know that calcium's great for our teeth. My camera lady's laughing at me, so there must be something funny going on that I can't see.
You're fine.
Calcium's great for your teeth and your bones. It keeps those really healthy. Obviously, with the vitamin D we're getting today in the sunshine, it's fantastic. But actually, calcium is also a great source of something called B12, which is also really important for our energy levels. And it's you don't get B12 in everything. You know, there's sort of certain places you can find B12, and milk is one of those places. But the other really interesting thing with milk is it contains iodine. So we were talking about rearing calves there and making sure they're healthy. So and for their growth and for their metabolism. If we think about our own health for a second, so milk is a great source of iodine. Now, we need iodine for normal growth, for normal metabolism, but also for young children and babies in pregnancy. You need iodine to support their brain development essentially, to keep them really, really healthy. So milk, so if you have a glass of milk and a yogurt, for example, you're kind of getting your iodine requirements pretty much from all of that. So it's a really good source of iodine. And again, it's kind of limited as to where else you would find it. There was definitely something else I was going to tell you about milk. Oh yes, so...
Do we want to set the milk just in front of you, just for folk to see it?
Yeah, of course. Ta-da! Here we go. With milk, when we think about sort of sustainable diets, food waste is a huge part of being more sustainable. So we need to really manage our food waste. We need to think about what we're doing much more. So again, this is maybe really common knowledge to some people, but it's maybe completely new to others. You can freeze milk. So if you think you're not going to use it all, then you can absolutely freeze it and use it again at a later point and save the wastage essentially. So it's really versatile. Okay, I'll pop that back over. Next we're going to go on to oats, I think. So another cool thing to show. So some of you may have seen this. This is an oat plant. I don't know how well you can see it in the sunshine. It's very, very golden. It's beautiful. This has been harvested. I kind of saved this little thing. You can see the kind of ends, the heads here. So this is what an oat plant looks like in the soil. Some of you may not have seen that before. Please put in the comments if this is new, if this is something you've never seen. So this is what oats look like when we start off. And then what happens is this is what they look like when they're harvested. Everyone can kind of see that there. And then this is probably how we would kind of recognise them. This is how we would really eat them in this form. So I'm really lucky again. I live 20 minutes away, I think, from the local mill, the Hamlin's mill there at Boyndy. I buy a huge bag of oats direct from the mill. It's a really economical way to shop, and again, if you're thinking about being sustainable diets means a whole host of things, and that includes affordability essentially. So it's a really economical way to buy in bulk. It's also a great conversation starter because I have a huge bag of oats in my living room, which everybody who comes into my living room talks about and asks me about, so it's a real party piece if nothing else. But oats are fantastic. The reason oats are so fantastic is because they contain a soluble fibre. So we know fibre is really good for us, but oats contain a soluble fibre called beta-glucan, and beta-glucan helps to, so basically when we eat oats and we eat the beta-glucan, we form this kind of gel or mesh kind of gloop. I'm going to go with gloop, that's technical, in our digestive systems, and that helps to collect and absorb cholesterol, and that is very good for preventing helping our heart health basically. So the link between oats and heart health is very strong. I'm obviously from Scotland, as some of you can tell, so I eat porridge every single day. We love our oats here.
Few folks in the love porridge for breakfast.
Woohoo! Porridge for breakfast. Excellent, I'm pleased. Yeah, so great for heart health. I was actually just listening to the World Health Organization the other day, doing some sort of live updates at the moment, and they were saying, you know, we need to remember that actually diseases that we call non-communicable diseases, so that's things like heart health, like some cancers, they're still the major causes of illness, disease, and death in the world essentially. So we can be doing a lot to prevent these kinds of diseases, and the main way that we can prevent these diseases, including heart problems, is by having a healthy lifestyle, which includes, surprise surprise, eating really healthily. The other great thing about oats, as I say, they're a source of fibre, and fibre is really good for our gut health. And there's a really strong link, I'm sure lots of people have heard about it, a really strong link with our gut health and our well-being and our mental health. And I guess the easiest example to give of that is when you sort of feel like you're nervous and you get butterflies in your tummy, and I think we've kind of all experienced that at one point in time. You can see how strong that link is between your mental health, your mind, and what's going on in your tummy. So if we think about that, what we need to do, as I say, we need to feed our gut bacteria, we need to nourish ourselves essentially so that we're healthy, and oats are a really good source of fibre, and the fibre feeds our gut bacteria, and that keeps our mental health really, really well. I feel like there might have been something else about oats I should have asked there, or should have
Yeah.
been.
Somebody has commented saying we need to eat more fibre too, which
Absolutely.
you just said.
So we actually need to eat about 30 grams of fibre a day if you're an adult, which is, I mean, nobody in the UK, very few people actually achieve that, unfortunately. And actually, okay, so that brings us on to kale, which is great. We can talk about kale and fibre. Do you want me to hold that up?
Yeah.
So, hello gut health. Hello well-being. So this is some beautiful kale here. This has come from we're so lucky in Aberdeenshire. There's literally just everything's 20 minutes away, half an hour away, and we have all these great producers. And this is again come from half an hour away, from a new startup sort of horticulture business. It's an organic one again, actually, and they are doing great because they're doing some sort of being able to supply into sort of vegetable boxes, for example. What was I going to say there? We were talking about gut health, weren't we? Yeah, so kale's fantastic because it contains a whole package of nutrients within it. So nature's really clever like that. It kind of gives us everything we need within one food almost, and gives us everything that works together really well. So kale's a great source of, for example, vitamin K and folate and vitamin C. But it's also a great source of vitamin A, which is quite unusual again. And vitamin A we need to keep our mucous membranes healthy, essentially, and functioning. And that basically means it keeps so those membranes are found kind of around our eyes and again in our gut. So that can keep our vision healthy and keep our gut healthy again. The other great thing about kale is its fantastic colour. So again, do you want me to show you it again? Can you see it? You can see it's amazing bright green colour here. Kale is... Remind me to talk about the soil before
You've got like 12 minutes left.
12 minutes. I do want to remember about the soil with the kale. The kale is a fantastic colour. The reason it's a fantastic bright green colour, you get it in purples, you get it in dark greens. The reason it's fantastic in colour is due to a compound called anthocyanins. Now this is funny for me because when I was a student dietitian, I put on my white lab coat and I studied anthocyanins as part of my research project. And so I just think it's great that there's now all these years later, there's loads of research being done on anthocyanins and essentially how they link to our health. So anthocyanins cause the colour in the kale and other vegetables. They also help with like UV radiation, for example, protection against pests. That's their kind of function within the plant. And what that does is within us, it sort of translates into these health benefits. Again, it's really good for our gut health, and anthocyanins in particular have been shown to improve a certain type of good bacteria within our gut. I was going to talk quickly about the soil. So again, kale is a great crop for our soil because it stands in the ground so well. We have really hard, cold winters here in Scotland. You might know that already. And this kale can, like many other crops like carrots, for example, can stand in the ground, and that protects our soil. And again, it provides somewhere for wildlife and different sort of habitats for wildlife and bugs and beasties and things to sort of winter over winter. And it's great for us too because it providing all these nutrients all through the winter, which can be hard. Okay, final thing, strawberries, pudding. Okay, these are the most amazing strawberries. They're fantastic. They're a beautiful colour, again, thanks to its anthocyanins. They contain vitamin C, so they are fantastic for keeping our immune systems healthy. They just bring joy, right? Everyone loves strawberries. Their colour is great, and I think I was always taught to eat a rainbow, and I think when we think about how we've used rainbows through this difficult time to inspire us all and keep us all going, and when we think about fruit and vegetables and how they keep us healthy, it's really nice, this idea of eating a rainbow. So strawberries are a fantastic way to get that red colour in. Their season is just about ended, but we're kind of on to blackberries now, which is fantastic, so another great source of vitamin C. These strawberries were grown, again, 20 minutes away from me on a family farm. And I think what's really important to remember is when you're buying produce, if you can buy it from someone locally or someone from Britain, you're supporting a family business, you're supporting rural skills, you're supporting people kind of building on learning like a work ethic and things, you're supporting all these kind of wider things that are really, really important. And you know, again, if you're buying it direct from your producer or from a local shop, for example, you can ask them how they grow it, you can ask them why you grow it that way. That's probably what I would ask, because I have to challenge everything I find. So I would ask, why do you do it this way? And I'd want to know more about it. And it gives you that chance to do that, and you can't do that if you go into a supermarket, for example. How are we doing for time?
You have 10 minutes roughly.
Oh, that's not too bad then.
No, so you chat away.
Oh, chat away. Are there any questions?
No, so far everybody's just watching.
Okay, excellent, fantastic. Okay, I'm pleased. I guess we will go and talk about the turkeys, because that's like the fun bit for me. I really want to talk about them. Maybe just talking a little bit about sustainability then, just while we're kind of here, and thinking about what that means in terms of what you can do in terms of making just small changes. So as dietitians, we talk about making one change, making a small change, making a realistic change, but nobody can do everything. So you might want to just think about that one change that you can make. And I was talking to a guy the other day about this, and he was asking what kind of ingredients he could use and what could he do to be more sustainable. So it is thinking about your food waste. So for example, can you use, leave the skin on your carrots, for example, and use the tops of them. So use the tops in soups and stews. So those lovely green tops in your carrots, you can use everything, and use it in your cooking, and you get more fibre, you get more vitamins from it, and you're reducing your food waste. Or for example, you could think about using something which is in season here, which is really important to try and eat seasonally if you can. So with this particular guy we were talking about, instead of using a sweet potato or a butternut squash, which is they're not really grown here in the UK, you can use instead like a pumpkin or a squash, which is grown here. It's the season for those at the moment and coming into those, and they have the same texture and same sort of use in the kitchen, but again it's a more sustainable choice. It's not got the same food miles coming with it, for example, and yeah, so I just wanted to kind of touch on that a little bit while I was here and had the opportunity. Will I go into the turkeys now?
You can feel free.
Or do you want to follow me?
I'll follow you.
Yeah.
Lots of people saying they're just listening and learning. Listening and learning.
Okay.
And great to know to question where your food comes from.
Always.
So
these are my
I will come
turkeys.
beside you maybe.
Yeah, these are my turkeys. I'm just so chuffed with them. I love having the turkeys. Why have I got them? Okay, so these are a heritage breed of turkey. That means that they grow really slowly, and that's fantastic for their welfare. They're completely, what I'm doing here is really nice because they're outside 24/7. That means that they can forage on all the grasses and the clovers here, and they can pick all the beasties as well, I have to say, and that supplements their diet. And it's really nice for them to be able to do that, and then in turn the nutrition that they get from our soil here comes back to us essentially. Turkey is a really good source of protein, I'm sure many of you know that, but it's also a really good source of vitamin B6 and vitamin B12. Again, as we talked about, which is we need for our energy levels. So yeah, it's really nice to see the birds here actually, and just see them all settled down for the day. I think what was really nice was about a month ago, a wee girl kind of walked past. She was out walking with her grandparents. I think she was maybe like primary 1, and they stopped, and because obviously the turkeys are a bit unusual, let us know in the comments maybe if you've never seen a turkey before. And they stopped to look at the turkeys, and I was having a chat, and this girl had never seen a turkey before. She lived in the city, she'd been out visiting her grandparents, and just to be able to kind of talk to her a little bit about what they are, and let her, you know, listen to all the noises that they make and just all the strange things that they do, you know, you could really see her eyes kind of lighten up. And for me that was just really precious, just to be able to kind of share that little bit of what was going on essentially, and share that experience with her and open up her eyes to it. I just thought it was brilliant. And I think again, you know, food and farming is not always just food and farming. It's sort of all these wider benefits that we can give to our environment, to the people around us. Yeah, and as I say, for me that's really important. And then yeah, you're laughing.
Yeah,
what's
Jane's
happening?
asking, do the turkeys talk gobble gobble to you?
They do. The turkeys were really noisy this morning. I don't know if they knew what was going on. They were a bit excited. They were really, I filmed it, so I will put some posts up and you can kind of hear the noise that they were making.
And they're very calm and relaxed.
Yeah, they are. They're totally content out here. As I say, because they're a heritage breed, they're really well suited to foraging, they're well suited to being out here, and just calm, you know, this is kind of their natural environment really. So I'm really, yeah, they're looking really calm. Are there any questions at all? Is there anything coming in?
We've got hi from a few different places dotted about. There's one from Edinburgh.
Oh, amazing.
Do you sell them locally?
Yes, I do, absolutely. That's the whole idea. I want to be able to give, you know, support the, you know, local community, just as people have supported me basically, and you know, I get to go and buy lots of nice things from locally, and this is the same sort of idea. So yeah, absolutely, they're available to purchase. They're looking so happy there. Yeah, it's quite nice just to see them for a minute, isn't it? And just,
how many do you have?
I've got about 40 birds here at the moment. This started as part of a project basically for my master's degree, sorry. And it started as a project for that. I wanted to see if it could be done, and I wanted to use the land that we have here. So basically what these guys are doing for me is I put in about 1,200 hedging and tree plants at the start of the year back in January. So I put in a load of trees to help bring a bit of shelter to this sort of site, because we're quite exposed here. And what these guys do is they work their way around. You can't see the trees probably so much just now, but they work their way around. They suppress the grasses and the weeds that are coming up around all these new trees that I've put in. So that's kind of my way of managing the weeds essentially, is using the turkeys. So they go around, they kind of lie in amongst the trees, and suppress all the kind of extra growth and things. So that's brilliant. They're doing me a huge favour. They're fertilising my ground obviously as they go. Yeah. Is that us for time?
You've got about 3 minutes to round yourself up if you want to.
About 3 minutes to round myself up.
To round yourself up.
Any questions at all coming through?
No,
nothing.
Just everybody seems very interesting. They've learned lots. Few folk hadn't seen the plants before.
Oh, brilliant! I'm chuffed. I'm so pleased that I could show
Especially
them that.
the lentil plant.
Yeah, well that's it. They're quite. Not everyone would have seen that, so that's brilliant. They can see the plants and see what it really looks like. That's absolutely fantastic. Yeah. Well, I really hope then that everybody has managed to kind of watch some of the videos today, and part of what, you know, supporting what Leaf's doing. And personally, I really hope that you're going to be watching tomorrow as well. I'm going to be definitely checking out what's going on tomorrow, because I just like to see what everyone else is up to basically. I like to find out what's going on, and it'd be great to kind of see what all the other farmers are up to basically. So yeah, thank you to everybody that sort of wanted to sort of be part of today and supply some of the produce and things that we have here that we've been able to show you. I hope I've been able to show you just a really nice example of the types of produce that we grow up here in Aberdeenshire. As I say, we're so lucky to have all this kind of on our doorstep, and I'm sure wherever you are, you know, I want you to go and just find out a bit more about wherever you are, what's sort of growing there, what you can buy locally, who you can support, and how you can maybe make one simple change to whatever it is you're doing to either improve your nutrition or your sustainability or whatever it is that kind of matters really to you. I hope everybody enjoys their Saturday night.
Oh, Jane's saying she's eating lentils for supper tonight. Thank you so much for a really interesting talk.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Fab. Excellent.
Oh well, we'll leave you at that, will we?
Yeah, brilliant.
Okey dokes.
It's been great.
Okay.
Enjoy the sunshine.